Hello and welcome to my tutorial for the Wilco Citation X for Flight Simulator. We'll start by opening up Flight Simulator. I assume that you know how to do that. Once you're loaded in, you can go ahead and select the aircraft that you'll be using for this tutorial. We'll be using the Citation X made by Wilco. Pick your starting location. For me, I'm going to start in Detroit. And then you can just pick a gate. Any small gate really will do. So we'll just pick a gate. Weather, we'll keep it fair. And I'm going to go ahead and switch this to day so that we can see what's going on easier. Also, I'm going to change my fuel payload. 90% on all the tanks. So that can be the weight restriction. Okay, now Flight Planner. You don't have to load a flight plan. You can manually put everything in the FMS. But if you have a flight plan that you do use often and you have it saved to Flight Simulator, you can load it and import it directly to the FMS, so you don't have to put in all the information, all the intersections, VORs, things like that. It'll automatically import it. You can click Fly Now. And then if you're not sure how to get the aircraft to start from a cold and dark start, you could go to your main Flight Simulator directory, and then you'll find a folder called Feel there, and then inside that will be another folder called Citation X, and inside there will be a program. The icon will look like a PFD, and if you run that program, it'll give you the option in the Startup tab to select a cold and dark start. And go ahead, as you can see, we are at the gate. We have the engine covers, chocks, all that stuff on. And then if we hit Shift E, open the door, we can go inside. And now, inside you can see all the avionics and everything are shut off. Okay, now to start, we're going to turn battery 1 on, battery 2 on, avionics, standby power, bus 1, bus 2, left gen, right gen. Now all those are on and running, and then we can turn on the master APU switch. You can test it, make sure that's working. Click APU up to start, and you can monitor it, watch it start, make sure that everything runs good. You'll be able to hear it spool up. Once it is spooled up and everything's running, you can turn the nav lights on, seatbelt lights, arm your emergency lights, and you'll get this ready to load. So it says ready to load, go ahead and click the APU bleed all the way up to max cool and turn the generator on, and you'll see that the light turned off and your APU amps went up, which is what you want to see. Now that that is set, bring up your throttle quadrant here, and you'll see down here we have the IRS. You're going to click these over to align, and they'll go from on bat to align to nav ready. If you haven't set it on your on the same program that you used to set for cold and dark, you can set the alignment time. If you haven't set it to instant like I have, it might take up to 10 minutes. Once they've aligned, you can go ahead and click them over to nav, and you can close that. Now we're ready for the FMS. Position initialization. You're going to load your reference waypoint, and then you go to flight plan. This is where you can import your flight plan. If you type in the destination, it'll come up with a thing so you can put in waypoints. I'm just going to click load FS flight plan, and it'll automatically load everything in there. Next we're going to hit this, and then we go all the way to page 4 on this one, and then this is where you put your cruising altitude. So we're going to put flight level 340, which goes right there. And then we go to page 5, and this is where you get your weights. 0, and that's just from the gauge right there. Cargo 500, and that'll go right there. Passengers are 6, and then it gives you all that. You get all this information off of your fuel and payload screen under the aircraft tab. Confirm that, and bring us to departure. And we're going to go ahead and select our departure runway. Our SID is already imported into our flight plan, so we just hit activate, and you can see that runway 22 left is now active. Now with that, we can close that, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to change this over to FMS, you just simply click on it and hold and drag it up or down. And you want it on FMS because when we engage our autopilot, it's going to be navigating from the FMS. Now here to set the V-speeds, you click on V-speed that was over there, and takeoff speeds. V1, I'm just going to, for the sake of time, I'm just going to set in just random speeds here. You can set in whatever, and then you just click on the button again, and it will set it. Now that our V-speeds are set, we could call for clearance. And once clearance assigns us an altitude, you go ahead and dial it in on your panel here. And I'm going to set mine all the way up to 10,000. Oh, 10,000, there we go. Okay. Now, those are all set. We can bring this up and actually turn the packs on. You can actually do this after you get the APU running. You can turn those packs on. I just forgot to do it, but we'll go ahead and turn those on right now. Now that those are running, and we have our altitude, we are ready for pushback. So we'll go ahead and close our door. Oops. There we go. Nope. Exit close. There we go. Okay, now we're ready for pushback. So we can go ahead and turn off the parking brakes, and Shift P will start our push. Now we can turn the packs off, turn the right ignition switch on, and go ahead and hit the right ignition button. And it will start the ignition sequence for the right engine. You'll also be able to hear the engine spooling up. And now you're going to want to turn on the hydraulic aux pump A. That's probably good for our push. And we can set the parking brakes again. Alright, now we have it's running. We can turn that ignition switch off and turn the left one on. And we go ahead and hit the button, and you can see it starts up our left engine. Now we can turn the packs back on. And you can also monitor, and you can keep on here. And now you can turn off this hydraulic, that aux pump there. Okay. Now you can turn on the recognition lights, the tail lights, and if you click this up once, it turns the beacon on but leaves the strobe off, which is what you'll want. And now you are not ready for taxi. You still need to set your trim. Right here is where your trim indicator is, and you want to set it in the green for takeoff. So we'll go ahead and just we'll set that down in the green. I'll set it to we'll actually set it to we'll go ahead and set it to 5.0 for our trim. And now you could go ahead and you could call for taxi. When you get to the runway, you want to make sure that you don't forget to turn your TCAS on. To do so, just click here and then click here again, and it will turn your TCAS on. And that will conclude the tutorial for cold and dark startup and programming the FMS on the Wilco the Wilco Citation X.